Hello and welcome to another episode of Profoundly Silly Wisdom, the podcast for people who are ready to start living as their authentic self rather than following all the shoulds. So today's episode is about postponing your joy. Now there's a psychological term for this which is not very catchy, which is why it's not in the YouTube title, called the hedonic treadmill. But I prefer postponing your joy. So what do I mean by that? So it's that scenario that we often find ourselves in, and it becomes a sort of habit of I'll be happy when. So we postpone our happiness, we postpone our feel-good feelings because we're basically working towards something. And like I said, it's something we kind of get trained into, because if you think about it, advertising, we're always being told, oh, your life will be so much better when you have this thing, when you look this way, when you're doing this job, or whatever it is, when you have a certain amount of money in your bank account, etc., etc. And as we all know, we kind of know we know it's not true at some level, but it's just so constant, that reinforcement of this is what you need to make you happy, that we fall for the trick basically, and we think that the thing is going to make me happy. So what we end up doing, if we're not careful, is we sort of end up not enjoying our current life experience because we've postponed our sense of happiness until we reach this goal, and then we all know what happens when you actually get the goal. You buy the product, or you achieve the promotion, or you get the guy or the gal, and it might be good for a while and you celebrate and you're happy and all of that sort of juicy stuff, but then, as we know, you kind of just get used to the new reality, and before you know it, you're kind of back to where you were in terms of, oh, so what's the next thing? And that's what it is. It's a kind of trap we get into where we end up not enjoying our current life experience because we believe that we need things outside of us in order to make us happy. So that's what we're talking about today. Like I said, it's basically making your joy contingent upon external conditions. So what is that doing? Well, basically, aside from making you less happy because you're postponing your happiness until you get this thing, it's also basically just giving your power away. Because if you think about it, I'll be happy when I'm in a relationship, because I'm single at the moment. So all the while I'm single, I'm thinking, oh, I'm not good enough. I'm a loser. I'm a lonely person, or, whatever it is could be going on in your head. If you've made this thing outside of you the be all and end all, or the thing that will bestow happiness upon you. But the reality is happiness just doesn't work that way, because I've shown you actually do have a kind of happiness set point. You get the thing, and then actually, you go back to kind of the same level of happiness as you were at before. And why is that? It's because it's about what's going on in between our ears, not what's going on around us, that actually creates happiness or diminishes it. So if you're handing your happiness to, someone else, you're always going to be at the mercy of your external conditions. So, what happens if you ask the guy out and he says no? Oh, then you feel terribly rejected, and, you feel bad about yourself because it's like your validation was going to come from having, being in a relationship, or it could be owning a certain type of car or whatever it is. We all know these things. So why doesn't this work? Well, what the reason is basically what's behind this is judgment. And judgment just isn't, judgment doesn't produce happiness, basically. But this is a more subtle form of judgment, because what you're doing is you're basically judging your life and you're judging yourself. Because, take the example of the person who wants to be in a relationship and thinks, I'll be happy when I'm in a relationship. Well, you're basically judging yourself to be, your life isn't as it should be. Your life isn't good enough if you're single. And so you're judging your circumstances and saying they're not as they should be. And, I'm not saying don't judge for any moral reasons, but actually all it does is it just sets you up to be feeling bad about yourself. And ironically, that feeling of lack is more likely to keep people away from you, keep you out of that relationship rather than attract the kind of person you want to be with. So that it's that judgment, it's that not accepting where you are. Because what is that fundamentally? It's basically saying, I don't trust life because where I am right now isn't right. I shouldn't be here. I should have more money in the bank. I should have better clothes, better products. Just think of whatever it is you think. And, like I say, I'm not criticising because we're all taught to be this way. We're not taught how our minds work properly, which is one of the reasons I'm doing this podcast. Because I've had to learn it the hard way. And so basically what you're doing is you're fighting life. And what are you fighting? You're fighting all these things you can't control. You can't make the guy go out with you. If he, there's that film, he's just not that into you. It happens. It's happened to me, believe me. I'm just like, I guess he just wasn't that into me. Can't imagine why. But yeah, it's that thing of fighting what is. And when you're doing that, you're using up a lot of energy and you're creating a negative energy, which again, from a law of attraction point of view or from a resonance point of view, whichever way you like to look at it, is actually going to create more negative experiences. It's going to actually repel the very thing you want to attract. So yeah, there's no judgment in today's sermon. I hope it's not sounding like a sermon. There's no judgment. It's just about, how do we make our lives easier, and how do we live a joyful life, while we're actually working towards these things that we also want to achieve, because it's not an either or. It's not be happy now and you'll never get anything that you want. You'll just be sitting there meditating, like, just meditating. And I'm so happy, it's not, there's nothing wrong with that, actually. It's great to be happy, but it doesn't mean you can't have a life of achieving things that are meaningful to you. And so, but the thing that we have to drop is that judgment that this shouldn't be happening. And not being able to accept where we are. And why that doesn't work is because actually the authentic you, I talk about the authentic you a lot, and I call it the soul because that's the word that really fully encapsulates that for me. Your soul basically accepts life as it is. And that's why it's so jarring when we get into these judgments, because actually what we're doing is we're not just fighting life, we're kind of fighting our truest, deepest, most authentic nature. So it sets up that kind of tussle within you, which is why it's so uncomfortable living that way. Your soul accepts your life as it is. For your soul, it sees, all these things that we think, I should have more money, it's hard. And I'm not, if you're going through a tough time, I'm not saying, don't feel bad about it. It's understandable. But for your soul, at a soul level, at a deeper level, that part of you actually sees life's challenges as part of the adventure. It's an opportunity, if you like, from the soul perspective, to learn about yourself and develop resilience, and to overcome. And also your soul doesn't judge. What doesn't it judge? It doesn't judge life. It doesn't say it shouldn't be this way. But it also doesn't judge you for your mistakes, all of the things that we beat ourselves up over. I've just spent 2 years not working. That's going to bring up a few things, in a culture where we're kind of defined by, the job we do to a large extent and how much money we earn. And so what I've learned from obviously contacting my soul throughout this time, developing that relationship with my soul, is my soul doesn't judge me by, what I do or don't do for money, or even if I earn money at all, it doesn't see life that way. And also even, things that we do that we may not feel proud of, maybe we ended a relationship badly, or, you know, whatever it could be. You made a mistake at work even, and you're just embarrassed about it. Whatever it is, or some kind of moral failing from your point of view, our soul never judges us about these things because it's here to learn. You know, that's what life is about. And so embracing life, you know, and seeing it more as, you know, as a challenge in the sense of an adventure, in the sense of curiosity, and understanding that when things don't go the way that you would have liked them to, that's an opportunity to learn about yourself and, you know, to make changes. There's never any judgment from your soul. So if you're holding on to anything, and if that's the feeling that's driving you to want certain things, you can see how it's just setting you up to feel that resistance, you know, and not to enjoy life because you're basically down on yourself. So it's time to let that stuff go if you can, because your soul is not holding anything against you. It's also not judging anyone else. Just a small point to remember when that person's driving you nuts. Remember, your soul isn't judging them. So also, you know, our souls see everyday life as something precious. You know, this is something that often happens when, you know, people have a profound experience. Maybe they go through something like I've gone through, you know, where you sort of go into the unknown, and you kind of have to face your fears. It could be something that happens, you know, a health condition, or maybe even a terminal illness. You often find that when people go through these sorts of experiences, they start to suddenly appreciate the preciousness of life, you know, of the people in their life, but even the simple pleasures like the sunshine today. I tried to go out to record in the park, but it was too windy, so I came back here. But yeah, just feeling the sunshine on your face, hearing the birds chirping, you know, just having a physical experience, eating foods, you know, all of these very simple things, we suddenly, you know, our souls appreciate, I suppose, because, you know, from that point of view, a soul is if you think of a soul as a field of consciousness that doesn't necessarily have a body, then being in a body is a precious experience. It's an opportunity to interact in a physical world and have all of these amazing experiences. And sometimes they're challenging, you know, sometimes they're not easy, but it's still, life is precious. And I think that's the thing our souls understand. So that's the thing we kind of know at a deeper level, so that when we've got all of these thoughts going on about, you know, which downplay our everyday life and see it as trivial, you know, compared to these big and important things that we're aiming for in life, then we're actually, you know, doing ourselves a disservice, and we're not actually seeing reality in the way that our heart, our most authentic self does. So yeah, and lastly, you know, your soul knows that it's a creator. And this is why it's, you know, this is what I've learned, okay, from the last 2 years, because pretty much I would say I was kind of defined by the job I did, or I felt that defined me. And because I wasn't doing the job that I wanted to do, or one that I felt, frankly, was good enough, you know, so I'm not judging anyone, because I've totally been in that place. I was quite down on myself, you know, I'm not going to lie, I was kind of embarrassed that I was an executive assistant. I know now that just seems like a strange thing. But when I was in that mindset, I felt I should have done more. And I suppose it's because I got a good degree from a, you know, recognised university, and I felt that there was a pressure on me to get a higher status job. But I just never found my fit in the corporate world. And so I carried that sense of shame, I guess, to a certain degree, you know, if I'm honest about it. And yeah, so I basically, I felt sort of stuck, I guess, in that situation. And it wasn't until that I went through this experience of just being completely removed from that environment, you know, the environment that probably bred that mindset within me, because that was how probably a lot of people thought that surrounded me. it wasn't until I got away from that I realised, hold on a minute, I've been living life, with these ideas of what's important, what's valuable from the society's point of view, but actually my soul sees it quite differently, and my soul, rather than seeing me as stuck, is kind of breaking me out of this. Excuse me, I've got a bit of a tickle in my throat. My soul is kind of breaking me out of this closed environment that I've been in so that I can actually learn a different way of thinking, because my soul didn't see me as stuck at all. It's just like, okay, well, now we're ready to do what you really feel called to do, rather than trying to fit into these boxes, which is what you were doing before. And it never works, because if you're not fundamentally suited to the environment you're in, then you're never going to flourish, are you? That's just a reality. It's Einstein's classical quote about the fish trying to ride a bicycle. It's just never going to happen. If it does, it's going to look really, really odd and probably not be very good. So your soul is creative. It knows, it doesn't feel that sense of lack. And the reason it doesn't, so it doesn't get stuck in a box and think, oh, this is the only option for me. If I don't do this, then, that's it. It's the end of the road. Because your soul is connected in to the wider field, the unified field of creative intelligence. So it knows there's an infinite number of possibilities for you. And so it doesn't have that panic that we get when we've been brought up a certain way to think, these are my options. And if those don't work, don't know what to do now. Well, guess what? Your soul knows what to do. That's what I learned. So that's also why we don't need to have this, attitude of only being happy, when we get the thing that we think we want, because actually we're already tuned in, we're already connected to that deeper part of us that knows, that sees the bigger picture. And so we can actually afford to enjoy life. And not only that, we can't, in some ways, we can't not afford to enjoy life now, because like I said, if we continue with this mindset, we're actually blocking off the opportunities that are there. We can't see them because of the mental conditioning, the story we've got stuck in. But just remember, your soul is never stuck. So all the more reason to develop a relationship with your soul. So I've got an exercise today. So basically it's kind of, I'm sort of making this up as I go along, but what I wanted to do was give you a sense of, I wanted actually let's just do it. Just think of something that you want, that you want, and perhaps it's something you want so much that you feel like you've been postponing your happiness. Maybe you've been experiencing a physical condition and you just have this sense of, I can't be happy until this thing is gone. It could be the relationship thing, it could be a work-related thing, something you want to achieve, and you feel, you don't feel good about where you are now because you think you need this thing in order to be happy. So just picture that in your mind now, or just feel into that situation. And just take a few deep breaths. If you want to close your eyes, also that can help you to tune in. So just take a deep breath and exhale. And just let that energy, that stress, just move into the earth. Just imagine a cord just flowing down from your feet all the way to the centre of the earth. And as you take your second breath, flush out all of that static and all of that stress about this thing that you really want. Just let the earth take it, let it go down into your grounding cord all the way to the centre of the earth. And take one more breath. And again, just flush any stress, any concerns down into the centre of the earth. And just let the earth energy, that nourishing energy, move up that grounding cord. Just feel it moving up, or see it however it works for you. And see that energy moving up into your feet, into your ankles, your lower legs, your knees, your thighs, your hips, circling upwards, up your central channel, your root, your sacral chakra, so your belly, your solar plexus, your heart center, to the center of your chest, your throat, your third eye, and all the way out of your crown up to your soul star above your head. To see that earth energy, feel it moving up into your body, and just nourishing you, just supporting you, just grounding you into the earth, because you are part of the earth, because you have a body. And just as you have a body, you also have a soul. So now that we're at the soul star, just see the energy from the center of the universe traveling through our sun, a stream of light, however you want to picture it, a beam of light. See it coming down through your soul star and circling down through your crown, through your third eye, just all the way down your central channel, your throat, your heart, your solar plexus, your sacral chakra or belly, your root, circling through your hips and down your thighs, your knees, lower legs, ankles, out your feet, through your earth star, and all the way down to the center of the earth. So you're now connected at both ends, just like a battery. And as those two energies, the negative energy, the nourishing negative energy from Mother Earth, and the positive energy from the sun, as they meet in the center of your core, the center of your being, they radiate out in every direction, generating that beautiful energy bubble that encapsulates you, that protects you from the energies around you, and that keeps your energy in. So just feel those energies moving now, just clearing away. And if there's any residual stress, anywhere you notice tension, just breathe out again. I like my shushy noises and whooshy noises. Breathe it out down into the earth, because Mother Earth can take all of that stuff. And so I want you to again to move to that thing that you think that you want. The thing that you think that will give you that feeling of happiness or security. Just tune into that now. What feeling? What does it feel like to have achieved that thing? What is the feeling you think it's going to give you? And just notice if it's a sensation in your body or some kind of emotion, or if it's maybe something you can see in your mind's eye, maybe even has a colour or a shape. And just allow yourself to experience that as if you got this thing that you wanted, the thing that you think, the feeling that you think it's going to give you. Just tune into that a little bit more. And now I just want you to let go of that thing, the thing that you think you want, that change that you want to make. Let go of the object or the person or whatever change it is you want to experience, and just focus on that feeling. So you haven't lost anything, you've got that feeling still. And now what I want you to do is just to tune in to your heart space. Now, just to move your awareness into the center of your heart, the center of your chest. You might want to put your fingers on your chest just to help you move your attention into that place. So just sit in that place for a while. That is where your soul lives. It's the seat of your soul. And so I just want you to tune into that feeling of your soul. What does it feel like? What does it feel like right in the centre? If you like, you can say hello soul. I actually say hello soul every morning, and I just notice how it kind of lights up in that chest area. A kind of aliveness. That's the aliveness of the authentic you. You might like to call it your heart. The part of you that knows what you really want, but also knows who you really are. Who you are outside of all of these ideas about who you should be. And all of these ideas about what you think you need in order to be happy. And so as you keep your awareness in your heart space, I want you to tune in once more to that feeling that you want to experience, that you think this thing will bring you. And just move it into that heart space. And just let your soul absorb it. Maybe you even notice that feeling is in your heart space already. But just see, what do you notice as you bring that feeling into your heart space? You know, whether you saw it as a colour or a shape or heard it as a sound, however you felt it or perceived it in your way, just bring it into that heart space. And if the thing has come to mind, the thing that you think you want, then just release it in that heart space. Let your soul take it, let your heart take it. Because it knows the best way to give you that feeling, whether it's exactly the way that you're picturing it or whether it's slightly different. And so just let any concerns and worries about that thing, again, dissolve. And from that heart space, move that feeling out into your body. If you see it as a light, see it expanding past your chest, up into your head, filling your arms, filling your belly, every part of your body. However you experienced it, whether it was a sound, whether it was a colour, whether it was a shape, whether it was a feeling, a sensation, just expand that feeling into every part of your body, every cell, every part of your structure, and also out into your energy bubble, your biofield. Just fill the whole of you with that feeling now. You get to feel that feeling now. You don't have to wait. You don't have to wait for something outside of you to happen to experience the joy, to experience the security, to experience the peace. Now you can rest in this feeling for as long as you choose. And you can come back to this feeling. Maybe when you think about that thing, and if you feel stressed because you wonder, how am I going to get this thing? You can come back and do this exercise. And you can tune into the feeling and you can remember, oh, hold on, I don't have to work it all out. I can bring that into my heart space and let my soul take it. And I can just tune into the feeling. It's there for me because nothing is missing in my soul. And my soul knows exactly the best way to bring this feeling to me. And the more and more you do this, the more you get used to tuning into the feeling and experiencing it now, because you deserve to feel good now, because there is nothing wrong with you. You are whole and you are complete, and you are on your life's adventure. And your mistakes are all part of that experience, part of that learning, part of that expansion, and part of that opportunity to understand that you're not the conditioned person, that you are so much more, and that there is nothing missing. And so stay in that feeling for as long as is practicable or pleasurable. But when you're ready, just take a deep breath. And wiggle your toes and wiggle your fingers and come back into the space. So I hope you found that helpful. Again, like I said, you can practice this at any time. And the reason to do it is to remind you that you are so much more than you've been taught to believe, and that you are whole as you are, and that all of these experiences of feeling like you lack, feeling like you need certain things, it's all an opportunity for you to discover the richness that lives within you. And what will happen, you think, well, that's wonderful, Esme, thanks for telling me that the richness lives within me, but I do also need to pay my bills. So on a practical note too, what will happen is as you start to tune into your authentic self, you'll start to realise that there isn't anything missing, and what is actually happening when you're getting stressed about these things and feeling stuck is that you're stuck in your thinking. It's your thinking, which is why we do all of that swishing. Let's swish all the stress into the earth, because when we get caught in our minds, we can't see beyond those stories. Those are our only options, because that's what we've been taught. But your soul, like I said, or your heart, your deeper self knows the answer, knows the way forward out of whatever situation you feel stuck in your mind. But understanding and experiencing, understanding that your thinking is limited, but your soul is unlimited, and connecting to your soul will help you to actually see beyond those, conditioned thoughts, so that when you get triggered, you'll know, okay, I can see this story. I've got caught up in this story again, and I've got stuck because that's all I've been taught. But actually, I know that there is a way. And the more that you develop that relationship with your soul, the more that you will also experience, that inspiration, because what you'll be doing is you'll be loosening and weakening the effect of that conditioned thinking. So it creates a space then for new ideas to come in, because you realise, there's more to this than what I can see right now. It's like being in a dark room. You've been in this room before, but the light's off, so you can't see anything and you're bumping into things. But you know that all it takes is for the light to switch on, and then suddenly, it changes your whole experience. And that's kind of what happens as you start connecting to your soul, you're connecting to the light within. And so what you'll find is not only will it, you'll start to feel happier, your set point that I was talking about will raise, but also it will allow you to have new inspiration and new thoughts. And so follow anything that, that you do feel inspired to do, especially in relation to, the thing that it is that you desire, because then you'll start to progress beyond these stuck kind of stories that you've been in. So I hope that was helpful, like I say, and yeah, I will. Oh, I'm supposed to do the salesy bit, aren't I? God. I'm supposed to tell you to subscribe, but yeah, that's true. If you want to receive any more kind of this wisdom, profoundly silly wisdom, then please subscribe. And if you like the video, please like it so that other people get to see it. And I will see you on the other side.